Have you ever heard a story so chilling it makes the hair on your arms stand up? A tale whispered in hushed tones of a man who reached for the secrets of the universe and paid a price too terrible to imagine. This is the story of Elias Vance, the alchemist who vanished, leaving behind only his shadow. In the heart of a forgotten city, down a cobblestone alley shrouded in perpetual twilight, stood Elias Vance's workshop. It wasn't a place you'd stumble upon by accident. Locals spoke of strange lights flickering in its grimy windows at ungodly hours, of metallic clanking and acrid smells that would make your eyes water. They said Vance was no ordinary man. He was obsessed, a genius teetering on the edge of madness, consumed by the pursuit of the philosopher's stone, the legendary substance, said to grant eternal life and turn lead into gold. For years, he had locked himself away, poring over ancient texts, mixing volatile concoctions, and charting the movements of the stars. His only companion was his own reflection, his own ambition. Elias believed that reality was a tapestry woven from matter and its opposite, what he called the umbra, or the shadow self. He theorized that if one could separate the physical body from its shadow, they could achieve a state of pure, incorporeal existence, a form of immortality. His journals, later found scattered across his dusty floorboards, were filled with frantic scrawls and complex diagrams. He wrote of strange rituals performed during eclipses, of elixirs brewed with ingredients that defy modern science, and of a final, great experiment. This was his opus magnum, the culmination of his life's work. The goal was simple, yet terrifyingly audacious: to physically sever his own shadow. One autumn night, as a blood rune hung low in the sky, Elias prepared for his final act. The air in his lab was thick with the scent of ozone and something else, something ancient and metallic. He had constructed a bizarre apparatus of polished mirrors, copper wiring, and lenses that distorted the candlelight into eerie, dancing shapes. According to his notes, this machine was designed to focus a specific frequency of light and sound onto a single point, creating a vibrational schism between the physical and the ethereal. He would stand at its epicenter, drink a final, potent tincture, and witness the birth of a new kind of being. He believed he was on the verge of becoming a god. He was dreadfully wrong. What exactly happened that night is a mystery pieced together from the aftermath. The townsfolk were jolted from their sleep by a sound that wasn't quite an explosion, but more like a sudden deafening silence, a void of noise that sucked the very air from their lungs. It was followed by a single, blood-curdling scream that echoed through the empty streets before being abruptly cut short. When the bravest among them finally dared to approach the workshop the next morning, they found the heavy oak door slightly ajar. Inside, the scene was one of ordered chaos. Beakers were shattered, but books were neatly stacked. The strange machine stood silent, but a black, scorch-like mark marred the floor in its center. Of Elias Vance, there was no sign. No body, no blood, no trace that he had ever been there at all. Except for one thing, his shadow. There, on the stone wall, was the distinct, man-shaped silhouette of Elias Vance. It wasn't a trick of the light. As the sun shifted, the shadow remained, fixed in place, dark and absolute. It was frozen in a posture of shock and terror, one hand outstretched as if reaching for something, or perhaps trying to push something away. The people who saw it said it felt cold, not just a lack of warmth, but an active, draining cold that seemed to pull the life right out of you. They sealed the workshop, boarding up the doors and windows, hoping to entomb the unnatural phenomenon within. But a thing like that cannot be contained. Soon, whispers turned to terrified reports. People walking past the sealed workshop at night would catch a flicker of movement from the corner of their eye. They'd see the shadow on the wall, and it would seem to twitch. At first, it was subtle, a finger curling, the head turning slightly as if to watch them pass. Then, The stories became more direct, more horrifying. A young couple swore they saw the shadow detach from the wall, gliding across the cobblestones like a slick of oil, its form fluid, yet unmistakably human. It moved without a body, a two-dimensional nightmare given life. It was Elias Vance's ambition, stripped of his soul, a hollow echo of a man now hunting in the darkness. They say the shadow retained a sliver of Elias's intellect, but none of his humanity. It was a predator, driven by a cold, alien hunger. But it didn't hunger for food or flesh. It fed on life itself. People who encountered it spoke of a sudden, crippling exhaustion, a feeling of their own vitality being leached away, leaving them weak and breathless. Those who got too close were found days later, pale and lifeless with no marks on their bodies, just a look of profound, vacant terror frozen on their faces. The shadow was a void, a black hole in the shape of a man, and it was growing bolder. One night, the town constable decided to end the horror once and for all. Armed with a lantern and his resolve, he broke the seal on the workshop, determined to face whatever was inside. He never came out. His deputies, waiting outside, heard no struggle, no cry for help. There was only that same gut-wrenching silence from the night Elias vanished. When they finally entered, they found the constable's lantern on the floor, its light flickering weakly. And there on the wall, next to the shadow of the alchemist, was a new shadow. The constable, frozen in a pose of defiance, his hand reaching for a pistol that wasn't there. Two shadows now stood side by side, permanent fixtures on the cold stone. The town was abandoned. People fled with what little they could carry, leaving their homes to rot. The story of Elias Vance and his living shadow became a cautionary tale, a ghost story to frighten children. But some say the horror isn't over. They say the shadow wasn't content with its prison of stone. On moonless nights, if you look closely at the walls of old, forgotten buildings, you might see it. A flicker of impossible darkness, a shape that moves against the light. It is said that Elias Vance, in his arrogance, didn't just separate his shadow. He released it. He unleashed a fundamental darkness, an entity that can mimic any form, attach itself to any surface, and hunt any living thing. The legend claims that it is drawn to those with strong ambition, to those who, like Elias, reach for knowledge and power that is best left untouched. It is a parasite of the soul. The next time you're alone and you feel a sudden, inexplicable chill, the next time you see a shadow move in a way it shouldn't, ask yourself, is it just a trick of the light? Or has the alchemist's shadow found a new wall to call home? Perhaps, just for a moment, it has chosen to rest on yours. Be careful what you wish for, and be very, very careful of your own shadow. You never know what it's thinking. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next chilling tale. Stay safe and check your walls.